In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your graphs for the Oreo lab. Um, if you've never used Google Sheets before, you'll notice that there are columns up at the top that are labeled with letters and rows that are labeled with numbers. So if I want to input some value in this cell right here where my cursor is, I would call that cell B1, whereas this cell is C1. So what I have is a set of data that I've collected for the Oreo lab. And in order to do the analysis, I need to input some formulas into the cells and have Google Sheets perform the math for me. So the first thing I'm asked to do is find the mean of the data. And I'm going to do that for both the regular stuffed Oreos and the double stuffed Oreos. Anytime we want Google Sheets to do some math for us, we have to start um, we have to indicate to Google Sheets by putting an equal sign in first. So we're going to click on the cell where we want data to be, where we want some math to be performed, and I'm going to push equal sign. Now I need to indicate what type of math the Google Sheet should perform. And so I'm going to type in average, and then I'm going to make sure there are parentheses to start to indicate to Google Sheets that this is the start of a range of data. And now I will select the data and I will hit enter. And it will calculate the average of that data set and provide the value in this cell. And because this is the same math that I need to perform for double stuffed Oreos, I can click on the cell that I just did the math in and then go to the bottom right corner of that cell where there's a blue square, and then I'll see crosshairs appear. And if I click on that and drag it over to the cell where I want to apply that math, you'll see it performed the average of the data that I have in cell C3 to C12, which is this range of data here. Now I need to do the standard deviation, and I'll just show you the formula for standard deviation. This is what standard deviation, the math for standard deviation involves. It is quite complex. So Google Sheets actually has a function that will calculate the standard deviation for us. We have to click equals, and then we're going to type in standard dev, and that will indicate that Google Sheets should perform that math function. I'm going to select the range of data that I'd like to find the standard deviation of, and then hit enter. And I can do the same thing that I did for the mean by going to the bottom right, finding the crosshairs, and then dragging over to the double stuff. And the last thing I want to do is find the math for standard error of the mean. And the standard error of the mean is the standard deviation divided by the square root of n. And n is the total number of samples I have in that data set. So unfortunately, Google Sheets does not have a formula that we can use, so we have to make one ourselves. And the way that we'll do that is first, we have to select the standard deviation. And then the standard deviation is equal, the standard error of the mean is equal to the standard deviation divided by the square root. And so we're going to ask Google Sheets to do the square root function specifically for a certain number of data points. And there are 10 data points in this data set. We could just type in 10. However, if we just so happen to add data points to this range or delete them, that value will not automatically update. So a better way of doing this is by not manually typing in 10, but instead asking Google Sheets to perform another function, and that is the count function. So if you type in count and then select the range of data that you would like Google Sheets to count, it will count those values. And so it will actually give us 10 as the answer to this count function, and then find the square root of 10. And then it will also take F4 divided by all of that. So when I push enter, this will equal the standard error of the mean. And I can do what I've done before, go to the crosshairs, drag over, and it will calculate the standard error of the mean for the double stuffed Oreos as well. Now what I need to do is graph my data. So what I'm going to do is select the cells where um, it contains the mean in grams of the regular stuff and double stuff. And I'm going to go up to the top bar and hit insert chart. Now I have a chart that looks somewhat funky. The first thing I can do is rename this, and I will probably name it figure 1. We'll just say regular stuff versus double stuff Oreos. You'll name it something more appropriate. But if you look at what's actually graphed, it does not look correct. Firstly, the axes are wrong. There's only one bar showing up. What is this number here? So in order to fix that, the first thing we have to do is look on the right-hand side. There's a panel that says Chart Editor. And I'm just going to click this Setup button. And Setup allows me to look at all of these different options. I can change the chart type to whatever kind of chart I'd like. I'm going to leave it on column chart. That is right here, which is basically a bar graph. And what I need to do is I need to uncheck this option down at the bottom that says use column F as labels, because column F is not a label that applies to both of these cells. So I'm going to uncheck that. Now I have 2 bars that appear, and that is correct. 1 bar is for the regular stuff, the blue, and the red bar is for the double stuff. But still, these axes are all messed up. So in order to change that, I can click on Customize, and then I have all of these options that are available under Customize. Specifically, I'm going to hit Chart and Axis Titles. And I've already changed the chart title, so I can select that option and then go to Horizontal Axis Title. And that would represent the x-axis. So I'm going to rename this type of cookie. Type of Oreo, whatever you'd like. And I'm going to also change the vertical axis title, which is the y-axis, and that's going to be the mass stuff in grams. And you want to make sure you include the units in whenever you're writing out an axis title. Now I'm almost finished. The last thing I need to do is actually the hardest thing, and that is I need to add error bars to both of these bars. And so in order to add error bars, I'm going to first select one of the 2 bars that appear. So I'm going to just select the blue bar at first. And you'll notice that the chart editor updates that now it's on a series. And I'm going to, I can edit all of these different features of that bar. If I want to change the color, I can change the color. I can do whatever I'd like. And the thing I want to focus on is this option error bars down at the bottom. So I'm going to hit that. And first, the type of error bar that it has automatically selected is a % error bar, but that's not what I want. I want to either show the error bar for standard deviation or standard error of the mean. But unfortunately, it's not an option if I want to choose standard error of the mean. So I'm going to hit constant. And then what I need to do is manually type in the standard error of the mean for the regular stuff Oreos, which is 0.06. So I'm going to just type in 0.06, and it should automatically update that graph so that it includes the error bar. And then I'll select the other data set, and I might change that fill color to something like that. And I'm going to also select error bars, change the type from % to constant, and then I'm going to manually type in the error bar. So 0.12 is the value that I've calculated previously. And once I have all of that, all of those values inputted, now I have 2 error bars showing both types of cookies, and then I have the error bars indicating the standard error of the mean.